It was one of those crisp fall mornings on campus, the kind where the air smells faintly of wet leaves and coffee from the student union. I was a sophomore, stuck in that awkward gap between classes, an hour to kill and nowhere to be. I hated the crowded bathrooms near the lecture halls, all buzzing with chatter and the stench of cheap body spray. So I'd found this spot instead. A restroom in the activity center, a squat, lonely building tucked next to my next class. Hardly anyone went there during the day. It was my little secret, a quiet corner to catch my breath amid the chaos of college life. That morning, I felt smug about it, like I'd outsmarted the system. As I crossed the lobby, I noticed a guy slouched at the front desk, thumbing through his phone. He glanced up as I passed, his face half hidden under a gray hoodie. "Good morning," he mumbled, barely audible. I tossed back a quick morning and kept walking, my sneakers squeaking on the polished floor. He didn't matter, just another bored worker stuck on a slow shift. Or so I thought. The hallway curved toward the restroom, dim and silent, lit by flickering fluorescents that buzzed like dying insects. I pushed through the heavy door into the women's bathroom, empty, as always. The air was cool, tinged with bleach, and the tiles gleamed under the harsh light. I picked the middle stall, locked it, and let myself relax. For a minute, it was just me and the stillness, the world outside fading away. I liked that feeling, like I could disappear for a while. Then the door swung open again, slow, deliberate, like someone wasn't sure they should be there. A man's voice cut through the quiet. "Anyone in here?" Deep, gravelly, not young. My stomach flipped. This was the women's room. Why was he here? I froze, holding my breath, hoping he'd leave. The door clicked shut, but instead of silence, I heard footsteps, heavy, measured, coming closer. They stopped right outside my stall. My heart thudded so loud I swore he could hear it. I pulled my knees up, curling into myself, as if that'd make me invisible. A soft tap hit the stall door, just one finger, light but sharp like a warning. I flinched, my breath catching. Then, through the tiny crack where the door didn't quite meet the frame, I saw it, an eye, pressed close, unblinking, staring right at me. It was there for half a second, but it burned into me, dark, searching, wrong. My skin crawled. I blurted out, "Someone's in here." My voice shaky, louder than I meant. He answered fast. "Why didn't you say anything?" Like I'd offended him. Then, lower, "The school's locking down. Someone's got a weapon." I stumbled out of the stall, my hands trembling as I faced him. It was the guy from the desk. Same hoodie, same slouch, but up close, he looked rougher. Jeans faded at the knees, brown boots scuffed to hell. He didn't fit the student vibe or even the staff vibe. My mind raced. Maybe he was maintenance. Maybe he was here to help. But that eye through the crack lingered in my head, and my gut screamed he wasn't safe. Still, a lockdown? That sounded real. I couldn't think straight. He held up his phone, showing me a text. "Campus alert. Stay inside. Locked doors. Armed individual reported." My chest tightened. If it was true, I couldn't just run. "We should block the door," he said, already moving a trash can to wedge it shut. I nodded, helping him, my hands clumsy with nerves. We stood there after, the air thick between us. He didn't say much, just stared, his eyes locked on me, steady and relentless. No small talk, no reassurance, just that gaze like he was studying me. It made my skin prickle, like I was a bug under glass. I pulled out my phone, pretending to check something, anything to break that stare. No alerts from the school, nothing. I scrolled to the campus website, empty, no updates. My throat went dry. If this was a lockdown, why didn't I know? I glanced at him, his head tilted slightly, watching me still. "What's your name?" I asked, forcing my voice steady. "I work here," he said, dodging the question. His tone was flat, rehearsed. Doubt clawed at me. He didn't look like he belonged here, not in that outfit, not with that stare. The room felt smaller now, the walls pressing in. I texted friends on campus. "You hear about a lockdown?" My fingers fumbling over the keys. 2 replied fast, "No. Classes are normal." My pulse spiked. He was lying. I looked up, and he'd stepped closer, too close, his boots inches from mine. He whispered, "I heard something. We should hide in a stall." His hand lifted, reaching for my arm, slow but sure. My brain screamed, run, fight, do something, but my body locked up. His eyes gleamed, a flicker of excitement I couldn't unsee. He wasn't here to help. He was here for me. Every second stretched, my thoughts a mess of panic and disbelief. How long had he been planning this? Did he follow me from the lobby? The air turned sour with his presence. Sweat, cheap cologne, something metallic. I was trapped, cornered in a place I'd chosen to feel safe. My chest burned with a mix of fear and fury. I couldn't let him win. He nudged closer, his fingers brushing my sleeve. "Come on," he murmured, nodding toward the stall. That touch snapped me out of it. I sucked in a breath and screamed, loud, raw, tearing through the silence. It echoed off the tiles, sharp and wild. His face twisted, shock, then panic. He stumbled back, hands fumbling as he yanked the trash can aside. The door banged open, and he bolted, his footsteps pounding down the hall. I stood there, shaking, my scream still ringing in my ears. Then I ran, out the door, through the lobby, straight to the nearest exit, my legs burning but not stopping. Ah! Ah! Outside, the cold air hit me like a slap. I didn't look back, couldn't. I fumbled for my phone, called my mom, and broke down, sobbing into the line. She drove to campus, met me by the quad, her arms around me as I spilled it all to campus police. My voice cracked with every word, but I got it out. His face, his lie, that moment he reached for me. The next day, the police called. They'd checked the footage. He was on camera, slinking through the lobby, but he wasn't staff. Not a worker, not a student, just some guy who'd walked in. They didn't know who he was, said they'd look into it. That was it. No updates, no answers. I stayed off campus for a week, jumping at every shadow, replaying his stare in my nightmares. Was he waiting for me that day? Had he seen me before? The questions gnawed at me, relentless, unanswered. Now, months later, I still feel him sometimes. An itch on the back of my neck, a chill when I'm alone. I don't use that bathroom anymore. I don't trust empty places. He's gone, maybe, but the what-ifs linger like ghosts. What if I hadn't screamed? What if he comes back? I'll never know who he was, or what he wanted. And that's the worst part. It was late spring 2016, the final week of my senior year at a suburban high school just outside some nowhere American town. The air smelled like freedom, cut grass, gasoline from the parking lot, and that faint promise of summer break. Everyone was coasting, teachers included. I'd slipped out of class with my buddy, a lanky guy everyone knew for his dumb laugh, to sneak a smoke in my car. It was parked in the senior lot, a rusty old sedan wedged between pickup trucks and hand-me-down SUVs. We leaned against it, passing a cigarette back and forth, watching the sun dip low. I felt untouchable, like the world couldn't touch me anymore. Not the exams, not the rules. Graduation was days away, and I was already halfway out the door. Then my phone buzzed. A text from a friend in the lunchroom, asking us to come hang out. I shrugged, flicked the cigarette butt into the gravel, and we started walking back towards school. No rush, no worries, just another lazy afternoon. We headed for the back entrance near the band and chorus rooms, a quiet corner of the school nobody bothered with unless they played trumpet or sang off-key. The door was this heavy metal thing, scratched up from years of kids kicking it open. As we got close, my phone buzzed again. Another text, "School's going into lockdown." My stomach did a little flip, but I brushed it off. Probably just a drill, right? Happens all the time in American schools. We pushed the door open anyway, and that's when I saw it. Red lights flashing in the narrow hallway, pulsing like a heartbeat. The main lights were off, leaving just the dim backups casting long shadows on the peeling paint. I stopped, my sneakers squeaking on the tile. My buddy froze too, his eyes darting around. "What the hell?" he muttered. I texted back, asking what was up, if it was real or just practice. No teachers, no announcements, just that eerie quiet wrapping around us. My chest tightened. Something felt wrong, but I didn't want to say it out loud. Not yet. We stood there in that empty hallway, waiting for a reply. The band wing was always dead this time of day. No clanging drums, no screeching violins, just the hum of the air vents and those damn red lights blinking. I kept checking my phone, the screen glowing in my sweaty palm. My friend texted again, "Dude, holy shit," then nothing. The typing dots hung there for what felt like forever, 30 seconds, maybe more, before disappearing. I sent back 3 question marks, my fingers fumbling. No answer. My throat went dry. "Maybe it's a prank," I said, but my voice sounded thin, like I didn't believe it myself. My buddy nudged me, nodding toward the auditorium doors down the hall. We shuffled over, tugging at the handles, locked tight. My mind started spinning. No teachers, no instructions, just us stuck in this weird limbo. I kept telling myself it was fine, just a drill gone quiet, but the hairs on my neck stood up anyway. I didn't like how empty it felt, like the school was holding its breath. Then it happened. My buddy tapped my shoulder, hard, and pointed down the hall. At the far end, past the flickering red glow, someone was coming. Fast. Not running, but speed walking with this stiff, unnatural stride. They were dressed in black, hoodie, pants, everything dark, and at first, I thought it was a teacher rushing to lock up. But as they got closer, maybe 50 feet away, I saw it. A white mask, stark against the shadows, covering their face. My stomach dropped. "What the fuck is that?" my buddy whispered. I couldn't answer. The mask wasn't some cheap Halloween prop. It was pale, twisted, like something rotting, with hollow black eyes that seemed to suck in the light. My brain screamed at me to move, but my legs locked up. I just stared as he closed the gap. 40 feet, 30. His head tilted slightly, like he'd spotted us. My buddy grabbed my arm, yanking me back. "We gotta go," he hissed. That snapped me out of it. We turned and bolted, my heart slamming so hard I thought it'd burst. We ran back toward the band room, the only place we could think of. My sneakers skidded on the tile, my breath coming in short, panicked bursts. I kept seeing that mask in my head, those dead eyes, that rotting grin. We reached the band room door and pounded on it, fists hammering the wood, praying the teacher was inside. No answer. Locked. I spun around, chest heaving, scanning the hall. He was still coming, closer now. Maybe 20 feet away, his pace steady, relentless. My buddy cursed and darted left toward the chorus room. "Hide!" he yelled, vanishing around the corner. I didn't think, just dove into a music closet nearby, slamming the door shut behind me. I fumbled for the light switch, flicked it off, and ducked behind a big plastic storage bin full of sheet music. The dark swallowed me, thick and suffocating. My hands shook so bad I could barely hold my phone. I crouched there, trying to slow my breathing, but every inhale felt too loud, like it'd give me away. My mind raced. Who was he? Why us? Was this some sick prank or something worse? The closet was pitch black, except for a thin strip of light sneaking through the glass window in the door. I pressed myself against the bin, knees digging into the cold floor, listening. Then I heard it. Footsteps, slow and deliberate, right outside. My blood turned to ice. I peeked up, just enough to see the window, and there he was. The mask filled the frame, pressed against the glass, staring in. Those black eyes swept the room, searching. I ducked back down, biting my lip to keep from screaming. My heart pounded so loud I swore he'd hear it. The door creaked open an inch, then wider. I held my breath, waiting for him to step in, to find me. I pictured him dragging me out, that mask looming over me as I begged. But then, nothing. The footsteps sped up, retreating down the hall at that same creepy pace. I stayed frozen, too scared to move, my mind a mess of terror and confusion. Was he gone, or just waiting? After what felt like hours, I dared to check my phone. A long text from my lunchroom friend. Some kid got stabbed in the bathroom by a masked guy with a knife. My buddy texted too. He'd made it outside to his car. I peeked out the window, hallway empty, red lights still flashing. I bolted, legs shaky, sprinting through the back door to my car. I locked myself in, staring as cop cars swarmed the school, lights painting the dusk blue and red. Helicopters buzzed overhead all day, searching. They never found him. He'd slipped out, vanished like smoke. I sat there, hands gripping the wheel, replaying it all. That mask burned into my brain, every detail, every shadow. I kept asking myself, why didn't he come in? Did he see me? And the worst part, I'll never know who he was or if he's still out there, watching, waiting. I graduated a week later, left that town behind, but some nights, I still wake up thinking I hear those footsteps, steady and close, coming for me. You have experienced a different life, a phenomenon that you cannot explain. Why? If so, share your story in the comments section below, because someone out there has also experienced the same thing. Don't be afraid to like the video, subscribe to the channel, because the next story could be even more interesting. Share your story. It was late January, my first winter semester at a big university up in the Northeast. I was a freshman, still figuring things out, living on the first floor of a dorm that smelled like old carpet and cheap ramen. That day, my last class ended early, around 5 p.m., and the professor let us out with a shrug, like he didn't care either way. I stepped outside, and the cold hit me like a slap. The sun was already gone, swallowed by the gray sky, leaving the campus draped in that eerie twilight you only get in winter. I pulled my hood up, stuffed my hands in my pockets, and started the trek back to my dorm, about a 10-minute walk across the quad. I didn't think much of it at first. Just another freezing night, my breath puffing out in little clouds. But then my phone buzzed in my pocket. I figured it was my roommate asking where I was, so I fished it out, squinting at the screen. It wasn't her. It was a university alert, all caps, screaming at me. Attention all students and staff. Get to a safe building immediately. Suspicious man approaching women on campus, threatening, possibly armed. My stomach dropped. I stopped walking for a second, the words sinking in, and suddenly the cold wasn't just on my skin. It was inside me, creeping up my spine. I shoved the phone back in my pocket and picked up my pace. The quad stretched out ahead, wide and open, dotted with bare trees that looked like skeletons against the dark. My dorm wasn't far, 5 minutes if I hustled, but it felt like miles now. That alert kept replaying in my head, possibly armed. What did that even mean? A knife? A gun? I'd never been around anything like that, not growing up in my quiet little suburb. I told myself it was probably nothing, just some creep yelling nonsense, and the school was overreacting to cover their ass. But my heart didn't buy it. It was hammering, loud enough that I could hear it over the wind. I started glancing over my shoulder every few steps. At first, it was just instinct, a twitchy habit from watching too many crime shows. The path was empty, just me and the streetlights flickering in the distance. Then I saw him. A figure, maybe 100 yards back, bundled in a huge black coat, moving slow but steady. My brain scrambled for excuses. Just another student, late for something, heading somewhere normal. But he wasn't on the main walkway. He was cutting through the shadows, off the path, like he didn't want to be seen. I turned back around, walking faster, my boots slipping a little on the icy patches. He could be anyone, or he could be him. By the time I reached my dorm, my chest was tight, my fingers numb from clenching my ID card. The building loomed up ahead, 4 stories of brick and glass, my little sanctuary. I swiped my card at the outer door, the lock buzzing open, and slipped inside the vestibule. There's a second door you have to swipe through, a safety thing, and I was fumbling with my card again when it happened. Bang! A loud thud against the glass behind me. I spun around, heart in my throat, and there he was. The guy from the path, standing right outside, his face pressed close to the door. He looked normal, I guess. Dark skin, heavy coat, features blurred by the frost on the glass. "Please," he said, his voice muffled but sharp. "It's cold out here. Let me in." His eyes locked on mine, wide and pleading, like a stray dog begging for scraps. For a split second, I felt bad, guilty even. It was cold, below zero with the wind chill. Maybe he'd lost his ID, locked out like an idiot. I've been that idiot before. But then that alert flashed in my mind, threatening, possibly armed. I swallowed hard and managed to croak out, "Do you live here? What's your room number?" He nodded quick, said he was on the 3rd floor. But when I asked again for a number, he just stared, silent. My pity dried up fast. I shook my head, stepping back from the door. "Sorry, I can't let you in." That's when it changed. His face twisted, those pleading eyes went dark, his mouth curling into something ugly. He started yelling, pounding the glass with his fist. "You little bitch," he spat, words I won't repeat piling up, each one nastier than the last. He pressed his tongue against the glass, dragging it slow, leaving a wet streak that glistened under the entry light. "I'll get in there," he snarled, "and when I do, you're gonna wish you'd open this damn door." My legs turned to jelly. I bolted, racing down the hall to my room, his voice chasing me like a shadow I couldn't shake. I slammed my door shut, hands shaking so bad I could barely turn the lock. The room was pitch black. My roommate wasn't back yet, and I flicked on the lights, panting like I'd run a marathon. His words kept echoing in my skull, vile and sticky, clinging to me. I'd never felt so small, so exposed. I grabbed my phone, fingers fumbling, and fired off a text to our dorm group chat. That creep from the alerts at the front door. Stay away. Replies flooded in. OMG, call the cops. And I knew they were right. I had to do something. I pulled up the university police number from the website, hands still trembling, and dialed. There's a guy, I blurted when they answered. The one from the alert? He's at my dorm, banging on the door, saying awful stuff. The officer's voice was calm, too calm, asking if he was still there. I didn't know. I was too scared to check, but I had to. I crept to my window, the one facing the front entrance, and peeked through the blinds. My breath caught, and a scream ripped out of me before I could stop it. He was there, right outside my window, grinning like a kid who'd won a game. His tongue flicked out again, slow and deliberate, mocking me through the glass. Please, send someone now, I begged the officer, my voice cracking. I watched him shake his head, still smiling, then turn and sprint off into the dark, vanishing beyond the reach of the streetlights. I sank to the floor, phone pressed to my ear, tears burning my eyes. The officer told me to stay put, said they were on their way, but it didn't help. I could still see that grin, feel his stare cutting through me like he'd marked me somehow. I wasn't safe. Not here. Not anywhere. A cop showed up 10 minutes later, a stocky guy with a flashlight who knocked on my door so loud I jumped. I let him in, stammering through what happened. Black coat, creepy smile, the threats. He nodded, scribbling notes, then told me to lock myself in and keep everyone else inside too. Another alert buzzed my phone. Residents of dorm name, stay indoors. Suspect still at large. They hunted for him all night, flashlights sweeping the quad, voices barking over radios, but I didn't move. I sat on my bed, knees pulled up, staring at the window. Every creak in the hall, every gust of wind made me flinch. I kept picturing him out there, waiting, that tongue sliding across his lips. My roommate came back around midnight, pale and shaken, saying she'd heard about it from friends. We didn't sleep, just sat there, whispering about what he might have done if I'd let him in. A gun? A knife? Or just his hands? That coat was so big, it could have hidden anything. The not knowing was the worst part, gnawing at me like a splinter I couldn't pull out. Morning came slow, gray light seeping through the blinds. The cops never found him. No arrests, no updates, just extra patrols for a week that didn't make me feel any better. I stopped walking alone at night, started triple-checking my locks, but it didn't matter. He'd gotten inside my head. Those threats, that smile, they replayed every time I closed my eyes, a sick little movie I couldn't turn off. I'd lie awake, wondering who he was. Some random psycho? Someone who'd seen me before? Did he know my room was on the first floor, so easy to reach? It's been months now, and nothing's happened since. Maybe he moved on, found someone else to scare. But I don't trust it. I still hear his voice sometimes, low and mean, promising he'll get in. And every night, when the dorm goes quiet, I catch myself listening, waiting for that tap on the glass, that grin to slide back into view. You can lock your doors, shut your windows, but some things don't stay out. They linger, watching, and all it takes is one mistake to let them in. I'd always been the guy who laughed at ghost stories, the one who'd roll his eyes when friends swore they'd seen something in the dark. That's why I was so pumped to do this. Me and my buddy had been talking about hitting up the old high school on the edge of town for months, shuttered since the 90s, windows smashed out, walls tagged with weird graffiti. It was the kind of place kids dared each other to sneak into, whispering about shadows and voices. I didn't buy it, not one bit. To me, it was just a creepy old building, perfect for a late-night video to mess with our friends. I grabbed my camera, flipped it to night mode, and grinned as we rolled up in my beat-up hatchback. The air was thick with that October chill, the kind that bites at your knuckles. "We're gonna make them eat their words," I said, slamming the car door. My buddy nodded, swinging his flashlight like some wannabe ghost hunter. We were fearless, or at least I thought we were. The school loomed ahead, a hulking shadow against the moonless sky. I could already picture the looks on our friends' faces when we showed them the footage. Proof we weren't chickens. We pushed through the rusted chain-link fence, the metal groaning under our weight. Inside, the place was a wreck. Hallways stretched out like tunnels, littered with broken desks and shredded textbooks. My camera caught it all. The dust swirling in the flashlight beam, the walls scratched with jagged lines and shapes that didn't make sense. I kept the commentary going, half laughing. Check this out. Looks like someone went nuts with a Sharpie. My buddy didn't laugh, though. He stopped dead, aiming his light at one drawing. A tall, blocky figure with no head, scratched so deep it looked like it'd been clawed into the plaster. "That's messed up," he muttered. I shrugged it off, but something about it stuck with me, the way the lines trembled, like whoever made it was scared out of their mind. My chest tightened a little, but I shook it off. Just some punk kid's prank, right? We kept moving, deeper into the school. The air got colder, heavier, like it was pressing down on us. I told myself it was just the draft from the busted windows. The halls opened into what must have been a science lab. Shelves tipped over, glass crunching under my sneakers, old lab tables stained with who knows what. My buddy's flashlight flickered, and he cursed under his breath, smacking it against his palm. I panned the camera slow, soaking in the eerie vibe. "Perfect horror movie set," I said, forcing a grin. But the silence was getting to me. No wind, no creaks, just this thick, dead quiet that made my ears ring. I caught myself holding my breath, waiting for something to break it. My buddy nudged me, whispering, "You feel that? Like, someone's here?" I snorted, but my laugh sounded hollow. I couldn't lie. I felt it too. A prickle on my neck, like eyes on me from somewhere I couldn't see. I turned the camera back down the hall, half joking, "Come out, ghosts, we're ready." Nothing. Just darkness swallowing the light. My heart was thudding now, louder than I wanted to admit. I kept filming, telling myself it was all in my head. We were about to call it quits when it happened. I swung the camera toward the far end of the lab, where the hall bent out of sight. The screen glitched, static fizzing across it for a split second, then cleared. And there it was, a shape, tall and broad, standing dead still at the edge of the shadows. My breath caught in my throat. No head, just shoulders and a torso, fading into the dark like smoke. I froze, camera shaking in my hands. "Dude, you see that?" My buddy hissed, his voice cracking. I didn't answer. I couldn't. It didn't move, didn't make a sound, but I swear it was watching us. My mind raced. Trick of the light? A mannequin? But deep down, I knew it wasn't. My legs screamed to run, but I couldn't look away. Then the camera cut out, screen going black. When it blinked back on, the thing was gone. We bolted, shoes slamming the floor, not stopping till we hit the car. My hands were trembling so bad I could barely hold the keys. Back home, we collapsed on my couch, still wired from the adrenaline. I tried to laugh it off. Probably just some old coat rack, right? But my voice was shaky. My buddy didn't even try to play along. He just stared at the wall, pale as hell. I hooked the camera to my laptop, more to prove I wasn't losing it than anything else. We skipped through the footage, past the graffiti, the lab, until we hit that moment. My stomach dropped. There it was again, the headless thing, clearer now on the bigger screen. It wasn't a trick. It wasn't a shadow. It stood there, solid but wrong, like something that didn't belong in this world. My buddy grabbed my arm, whispering, "We didn't see that. We didn't see it when we were there." I rewound it, frame by frame, and then I saw it. Between the glitches, it shifted closer. Just a step. My throat went dry. I slammed the laptop shut, but the image burned into my head. It didn't follow us out, or did it? I couldn't shake the feeling it was still out there, waiting for us to go back. That night, I barely slept. Every creak in the house made me jump. Every shadow looked too long. I kept the camera off, shoved it in a drawer like that'd make it go away. My buddy texted me at 3 a.m. "You hear anything weird?" I didn't, but I lied and said no, hoping it'd calm him down. It didn't calm me. My mind wouldn't stop replaying it, the way it stood there, headless and silent, like it was sizing us up. What was it? Some ghost tied to the school? Something worse? I'd always thought fear was loud, screams, crashes, but this was quiet, heavy, suffocating. I started wondering if it'd seen us first, if it'd been there the whole time, just out of sight. Morning came, gray and cold. I told myself it was over, that we'd imagined half of it, but I couldn't touch the camera again. Days turned into weeks, and we never went back. Never even talked about it, not really. Just quick glances and "you good?" texts. I deleted the footage, wiped the SD card clean, but it didn't help. I'd catch myself staring out my window at night, half expecting that shape in the yard. Nothing ever showed up, but the fear stuck, a cold weight in my gut. I don't laugh at ghost stories anymore. I don't roll my eyes, because now I know there's something out there, something that doesn't need a face to see you. And once it does, you don't shake it off, you carry it. Last week, I drove past the school by accident, windows still smashed, fence still rusted. For a second, I thought I saw it again, standing in the doorway. I didn't stop to check. Maybe it's gone, maybe it's waiting. All I know is I'm not going back to find out. Not ever. You have experienced a different life, a phenomenon that you cannot explain. Why? If so, share your story in the comments section below, because someone out there has also experienced the same thing. Don't be afraid to like the video, subscribe to the channel, because the next story could be even more interesting. Share your story.